Hey guys, this is Fever, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you something that a lot of you have been asking me about on most of my comments. Most of the comments in almost all of my WoW videos, and that's, what the hell UI do I use? In specific, what is this unit frame? How do I have this text-based percent with the glowy and all the fun jazz? And I'm here to show you exactly how I do it, and I'm here to tell you that I cheat. I mean, I'm sure there's something you can download that'll give you all of this, exactly how it looks, or maybe a little bit tweaked, but I didn't use any of it. In fact, I only used two add-ons, two of the best add-ons, and two of the most configurable and complex add-ons, Pitbull and Weakauras. Now, I'm first going to tackle how I have this sort of text-based HP. Now, it's kind of a trick, because if I open up Pitbull, which is what I'm going to do and what I'm going to be using, and I select my target of target, which is this one here that I set up so that it looks exactly like, you know, how it is when you open up all of your bars look like this and they're all stacked in the center. I'm going to do something. I'm going to go into my layout editor, and up at the top here, I'm going to create a new layout. This layout is going to be called Video for UI. Okay, and I'm going to select OK. I'm then going to go into my units, and up here, I'm going to choose which action bar or what unit frame I want to alter, and that's target to target. I'm then here going to say which layout I want to use after I make sure it's enabled, and I want to use Video for UI. So now everything's set up so I can start editing. I go into my layout editor, and any changes I make here will now change any layout, or sorry, any unit frame that's attached to Video for UI. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of all of this text, because that's not the text I want, and I can always go back and just add the text I want. So let's get rid of health, let's get rid of class, let's get rid of the power bar, and let's get rid of my name. Alright, so just plain bars with auras. Now I don't want to deal with auras right now. I can customize them just as fine, but I personally don't use auras on my bar. I use them on my target, but on my target to target, I'm not going to even touch them, because I don't want them. So the only thing that's missing right now is basically my text that I got rid of, but it wasn't in the right positions and it wasn't showing the information that I wanted. I'm going to change the position of these two frames and just place that here, and I'm going to try and recreate that. So I'm going to go into text, and I'm going to go into name. So name, I'm going to enable this, and I want this in a location where it's far to the left. And I also seem to have it in a certain alignment. But that's not important for right now. I'm going to look through my options here, and I can see what can I do with this. I can enable, and I can disable, and I can remove, Lua text, attach, location, scale. The only things that are really important to somebody who doesn't know the coding are going to be the attach, position, font, and location. Scale is, everyone knows what scale is. It scales things. It makes things bigger, it makes them smaller. Health bar, power bar, oh, turn that on. Unit frame, as you can see, it just changes where it's anchored to, where it is attached to, and the location will change how it's attached to that specific unit frame. So knowing where my unit frame is with this green bar, I know that's my health bar. So I'll attach it to my health bar, because I know that this is on top. Okay, so after I've attached it to my health bar, I'm now going to say, where do I want this? I want this on the outside left. So now it's just going to sit right there, and I can scale it up, but for some reason it's not scaling up. That's about as big as it goes. And I'll change the font, because I believe that I changed the font in mine. And I think I used Doris PP. There we go. So it's looking pretty close. The second thing I'm going to do is now I need my Monk Pandarian. I need that part there. So I'm going to go into my different types here, and I'm going to go class. Once I have class, I'm going to enable it. And it's right there, but I want it right underneath that. So the power bar is directly underneath, so it's attached to this. That's fine. And I'll say outside left, and then there I have it. Maybe I'll, make that a little bit smaller and change that to Doris as well for consistency. Maybe I even want that a little bit smaller. Okay. Now, you can play around with these to make sure that it's something that you like the appearance of, but you don't have to. Now, I'm going to look at something else called the blank bar, the blank space. This is something that Pitbull lets you do and is off by default, but if you enable it, it adds an extra bar. Now this bar is useful for a couple things, spacing, or if you want to add like a break in between things, or for this exact purpose, it gives something else to anchor onto. So now I'll go into text, and I want this, which is the absolute value, or the full amount of HP I have in a shortened value, and I'll say health. So I'll enable this health, and this is in the health bar, and I don't want that. So where I want it is underneath this, so I'll go attach to the blank space that I just added, and then I'm going to locate that to the outside left, which is exactly right there. But now it doesn't have the text I want. So I'm going to look into code. I'm going to pull down this drop-down menu, and this has a whole bunch of things. Just because it's called health up here doesn't mean I can't have it be class, or I can't have it be, you know, power. But for this purpose, I'm going to go health, and I'm going to say, I think it's absolute short. And boom. Except this is actually showing me 405 of 405, and I personally don't use that. Some of you might, and I'll just say, I don't even know which one it is. Mini? Yeah, mini. So there we have it. So now I have the information that I want displayed on the side there. And I can't find font because I can't read. There we go. And now I want to have the 100% somewhere else on this right side. So what I'm going to have to do is I can use one of those, or I can go ahead and create a new one, which will be health bar, or health %, and hit OK. And now I'm just going to create one from scratch. From here, I'm going to attach it to the health bar, because I want it in line with this one. I'm going to set my font back to doors, and I want it, I don't know where I want it yet. It's not going to be the outside left, because that's where that is. How about just the right? Have it right aligned to that bar. And then for my code, I'm going to have health %. Maybe I'll size that up. And that's looking pretty darn similar already. But the problem is that I have these bars here, and I want to get rid of them. So one thing that you can do, and this is where I say I cheat, is I just go to each bar. So I go to health bar, and I just make it transparent. I go to power bar, make it transparent, and I find the blank space and make it transparent. Now I can still manipulate the sizes of all this stuff by going to the general or from the bar and changing height, width, etc. But if I do this, I can align where my stuff goes. So right there, it might not be exact, but with a little bit of tweaking, I could make it exact. But now the thing is, how exactly do I get this glowy ball? Well, that's something that has absolutely nothing to do with my unit frames, and that's through Weakauras. So I'm going to open up Weakauras, and that's by hitting /WA, or I can type it all out, and it brings this up. Now, if you've never used Weakauras, this is basically like power auras, or I can't tell me when. It has a lot of functionality. It can basically do something when something else happens, and that is the most vague yet the most specific reasoning or purpose of this add-on. Now basically what I want to do is I want to show this ball all the time on my character, and I want to show this ball when I have something else targeted. But if I don't have anything targeted, well, I don't want to show anything. I only want it to pop up when I target something else. So let's see how I can do that. So I'll go into my Weakauras, and you can show or do anything. I can import a resource, or I can use something that's already in the game. I can use a standard texture. I can use an icon. But for my specific purposes, I'm going to use a model. Now this is a 3D model from the game files. Because I can't create anything myself, I'm using assets that are already in the game. Now just selecting that is going to prompt me to name it, and I'm going to name it video for UI. And it's already popped up this Lich King. Now already right there, the Lich King is the Lich King will be there. But I didn't use a Lich King for my balls. I used something for my balls. I used something else. And from the display option, I can go into choose. Now, once I come into choose, I have this gigantic list of the game's different assets. Now these are all of the models that are actually in the game. Some with skin, some without, because textures, the textures for the actual characters aren't actually on the model themselves. They're actually like plastered on, which is why you can have two of the same mob, but they just look different. they just changed what was on the actual model. So if I scroll through a lot of these abilities, and we can go like blood spurts and just a whole bunch of different things, particles, interiors, just a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to go into spells, and I'm just going to scroll down because there's just so many of them. And we have this this preview. Now I can't remember the exact ones that I used, but let's take, I didn't like lacerate actually, but let's take this one, lay on hands, low chest, and this is just an orb that pulses. So we have this, and we hit OK. Now on this bar we can drag and resize and make it bigger however we want, but you know, we don't want to get too complicated because this isn't a really complicated thing to do. The only thing we need to do now is if we close this, we need to make sure that it actually appears. So we'll go back into Weakauras, go back into video for UI, and we need a trigger. We need something to happen in order for this to show. Now, if I'm going to do something where it's based on me because I want it to show on my HP bar, I'm going to go add trigger, and I'm going to look at all the types of triggers that can happen. So type, aura, and I'm going to go status. Now, I'm sure there's better and more easy ways to do this, but I'm basically going to say health, yeah, I'll deal with health. Unit, yeah, it's on me. I'm going to click health, and I'm going to say if my health is greater or equal to 0, I want it to display. That basically means if I'm alive or if I'm dead, this is going to display. And just like that, my ball's up. I can go back into Weakauras. I can target myself to bring up my target a target. Now I can select my video for UI, and I can position this right behind my HP %, close that, and just like that, I've created the look of my UI. I can then change any sort of aura. I can do another one for my target. I can actually make it so that a different aura would display if my life was at a lower %. It could display something different if I was dead. It could go out if I was dead. It could zoom in and out to show how close I am to dead. Weakauras can do a lot of stuff, and that's why I really like it. For the rest of my UI, it's pretty self-explanatory. Chat box, I use bartender to just sort of trim down the way that my bars look, and I can also hide all of the bars that all of the icons that have cooldown, that don't have cooldowns, that I don't always need to see. Things like spinning crane kick. I know the keybinds, they don't have to be visible for me to know that they're there. My map is sexy map, and it's just, I modified it so it didn't have anything and then moved it down there. I use an add-on called Move Anything in order to just move my bars flush up to the side there. I use a couple other add-ons that you can't really see, like Bagnon and stuff like that, but it's not important. If you have any other questions, or you need further clarification, or you want me to show you some other cool Weakauras stuff, or any other ideas for vids, just let me know, and hopefully I can get it out to you. Anyway, this is Fever. Peace.